On this episode of Breaking Bread, I'm here with Gabriella Mileti, and I'm so thrilled to have her on. She's part of NIAF, or the National Italian American Foundation, and in specific, this organization does a lot of good for the Italian American community in the United States and across the globe. So we're thrilled to have her here, and I'll let her take it from here to introduce herself and what she does with the organization.
Well, thank you so much for having me, Anthony. It's a true pleasure. As Anthony said, I'm Gabriella Mileti, and I'm Director of Special Programs at the National Italian American Foundation with headquarters in Washington, D.C. However, our reach is literally global. We are present in terms of, we have members from all over the United States, but all over the world, really, especially Italy. But we do have members in Hong Kong and Singapore, believe it or not.
Wow, that's impressive.
So, yes, it is. So we are a global organization, and we work to promote the Italian culture in the United States, help Italian American students throughout their school, promote the Italian language, everything that you can imagine about Italy and the Italian culture, we do it. And so I've been with the organization for, it's been now 8 years. I just had my 8-year anniversary this past September. However, I have been involved with the foundation since I was in college. So that was that was about 20 years ago. So I oversee all of our special programs, which include the Ambassador Peter F. Secchia Voyage of Discovery, which is an all expenses paid Italian heritage travel trip to Italy for 20 Italian American college students who have never been to Italy before. So I oversee that program. We have the Russo Brothers Italian American Film Forum, which we fund films from aspiring filmmakers who want to tell a little piece of the Italian American story. And then we do virtual events. I also oversee our communications and social media. So yeah, I'm basically the factotum della NIAF. I always say that. I'm the factotum della NIAF. I've got my hands in a little bit of everything.
You know, funny story with the special programs that you were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
For the longest time, I'm only 26. I have just turned 26. But when I was in high school and my early years in college, I wanted to go on that Italy trip that your organization sponsored, but my mom would not let me. She refused. Refused. Yeah. But
no
I always thought it was funny, yeah, because she always got scared about me leaving the country, typical Italian mom syndrome.
Sure.
But I always thought that was funny because these things have been around me for God knows how long, and now I'm talking to the person that runs the programs.
Yeah, and that's funny you say that, because I get calls from mothers all the time asking, is this a legit program? Because it sounds too good to be true. It is indeed all expenses paid trip. There are a few items on the itinerary that is not included in the trip cost. However, it is an awesome trip. When the students come back, they are just absolutely enamored with Italy and the Italian culture. They just are just flabbergasted, and then they return, and some have now even moved to Italy after they come back to America. So Italy has quite an effect on young people.
I could imagine their way of life. My grandpa's from Sicily. I'm so used to saying grandpa, because when I say no, people are like, huh?
Yeah.
So but yeah,
you can say no with me.
Yeah, my no is from Sicily. So I've never been to Sicily yet. I've been to Italy many times, the mainland, I guess that you can say. But your trip has always been on my mind. So hopefully I'm gonna tell my cousins to go, or when I have kids one day.
Absolutely. And, Sicily is a great region to visit. 2017, I took the 20 students So when you do go to Sicily, I will give you the itinerary that we did.
Yes.
We did 2 full weeks and we did literally coast to coast. It's awesome. Sicily is probably the best. And I'm a little biased because I am part Sicilian, but and I just got married in Sicily. But Sicily just has so much to
Congratulations.
offer. Thank you. Thank you. I guess you could still say I just got married after 2 years. It still seems fresh. But yeah, Sicily's awesome. You definitely need to go.
So you had a real Italian wedding, like super Italian
Yeah.
Sicilian wedding, I should say, because people like to say that there's a big difference.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
I guess it was just the traditional Italian wedding from start to finish. Sicilian because yes, we had a very Sicilian menu, very all Sicilian wines, and of course, our location was in beautiful Taormina, Sicily, right at the foot
Oh,
of Mount Etna, which it did not erupt that evening, but it was a little smoky. So we did, in the pictures, had a little bit of smoke coming out of Mount Etna, but it was awesome. And if there are any future brides out there listening, my advice is to go get married in Italy because you're going to have so much more bang for your buck. What you spend in America is a fraction, or excuse me, what you spend in Italy is a fraction of the cost of an American wedding. So if you can do it, I would highly recommend to get married in Italy. It's so much cheaper and you get actually amazing food, not your typical banquet food that you do in America, unless you have like some fancy caterer, I guess.
yeah.
And then your location. You don't have to worry about decor or anything because your location speaks for itself. And so it is truly the best place to get married. So that's
So
my
like,
advice.
walk me through how that worked, because I'm actually kind of curious, because there is like I guess you can say like a movement of people in America that are doing small weddings now, or like
Mhm.
none at all. So like that I'm really curious to hear about that. Like how did you go about having your wedding there? How did the rest of your family come? Is most of your family based in Italy?
Yeah. So I will say most of my family is based in Italy. My mother's whole side of the family is still in Italy. She was the only one that came to the United States after she married my father, after they got married in 1978. So my whole family still is in Italy, and a good portion of my friends live in Italy as well, because after I graduated from university here in the United States, I went to John Carroll University in Cleveland, Ohio. I moved to Milan, Italy, and I lived there for about 6 years. And I was working in the fashion industry. So of course I made a lot of friends and everything and kept in contact with all of my friends throughout the years. And so a lot of our guest list was already in Italy. So that was obviously an advantage because we didn't have to worry about bringing everyone over. We did invite 220 people. But we did have 50 people exactly. That was kind of like what my husband and we wanted 50 people at our wedding, and 50 people showed up, and it was just perfect. We got engaged in August. I think I secured the location by September, and then by June of that following year in 2019, we got married. And it was really simple because we got married. Actually, it wasn't very simple. I take that back. The simple part was because we picked a location. We picked for our reception, we picked the Grand Hotel Timeo in Taormina, and it was kind of like just pick A, B, or C option. So, and with that, it came like all of the wine, all of the food, all of the flowers, all of the cake, all of the pastries, all that stuff. So that was the simple part. My mom and I did fly to Taormina a couple times to do location visits and menu tastings. The more complicated part was the whole getting married in a church in Italy. And of course, you needed to also validate it have the the United States recognized it as well. So the simplest thing for us to do was to get married civilly here in America a month before, and then bring all the paperwork to the church in Sicily, and have them validated and do all their paperwork, because Italians love paperwork. We know that. But the funny thing is that, so when I decided Taormina was going to be our location for our wedding, I said, I want to get married in the beautiful Sicilian Baroque church right in the piazza. It's called the Chiesa di San Giuseppe. Saint Joseph is the patron saint of marriages and families, and it's my mother's my mother's name is Giuseppina, and so Saint Joseph plays a huge role in our family. And so I said, this is so perfect. I want to get married in that church. Okay, we call up the rectory. They're like, that's great, but this church has been closed for like about 6 years. The roof fell, and it's been under restauro. They're restoring it, and we don't really know when it's going to be open. It should be open sometime in 2019. That was the year we were supposed to get married, or 2019 was the year we were getting married. And I was like, oh no. I was like, you don't understand. I am coming from America, and I want to get married in that church. And they're like, well, we'll let you know if we end up opening up. So I took the leap of faith, because I'm a woman of faith, and I put that church's name on my wedding invitation. And I was like, it's going to be open by my wedding. Sure enough, it was open. They opened in April, and we got married in June. So it was perfect because it was beautifully restored. All of the frescoes were beautifully cleaned, nice clean, nice fresh of paint on all the walls and everything. It was awesome. So that was the most complicated part of the whole wedding planning situation. And then of course we did send out the save the dates to all of our family friends here in America to save the date with ahead of time, but a lot of them obviously couldn't make it just because of the distance and the traveling and everything. But we had a great group there, the 50 people. We had a live band, a cigar and chocolate bar, which is like, it was so cool. They really entertained our guests. So it was an awesome wedding. So yeah.
That's an amazing story. I might have to copy you when I get married and totally go for something like that. I mean, it sounds like something out of a storybook.
It really was. It literally was. And I can't stress enough how much of a fairy tale it was. And we didn't even spend that much money, to be honest, in terms of what you spend here in America. I mean, it was nothing for what we got. That's the best thing. It's like, Italians, when you go to a restaurant, when you go to this hotel, the restaurant, the chef, they really want to impress you and make it like the best meal of your life, and they did. So yeah, it was awesome. Definitely, I'll help you plan your wedding.
Yeah. I'll take you up on that.
Yes.
So your Italian is beautiful. I could tell just by the way that it rolls off your tongue. How did you learn to speak Italian in the house? Obviously you said that your mom's from Italy. How did that work, or did you just go there and kind of pick up on it there?
Yeah. So as I mentioned, my mother is from Italy. I'm actually first, second, and third generation Italian. I grew up with the Italian language in my house. My mother spoke to us. I'm one of four. I'm the youngest of four. She spoke to us in Italian all the time. And ever since we were babies, because my mother's whole side of the family still lives in Italy, ever since we were babies, we traveled back and forth to Italy. So we're all Italian citizens. We were born Italian citizens, and of course, American citizens as well. In Cleveland, Ohio, by the way. I'm from Cleveland. Shout out to Cleveland. So my mother always spoke to us in Italian. And of course, us traveling there, we always were exposed to the language. And my father, he knew the language as well as he studied it. My mother is from Calabria, from the province of Reggio Calabria, in a small town called Scido. It's very, very small, so I don't expect anyone to have heard of it. But it is in the province of Reggio Calabria, just an hour from the main city. And then my father is of Sicilian, Abruzzese, and Padovano descent. So a little bit of everything. I'm literally Miss Italia from north, central, and south. So yeah, so we did grow up with the Italian language in the household. And then of course, traveling there helped a lot. And then what really kind of sealed the deal, put the cherry on top of my Italian language capabilities, was living in Milan. That's when I really just took my language to a whole new level, to the absolute, like, you're from Italy. I even got, mistaken many times from Milanese. And I was like, oh my gosh, sono arrivata. I've really arrived to the top of the top. I was mistaken for a Milanese, even though I look nothing like a Milanese, but I sound like one, or I sounded like one at the time. So I was really proud of that. And, obviously living in Italy, you catch up, you catch those, like, those words or those sayings that only like locals say, or only that really Italians in Italy say. You don't really find that in like a textbook that you would learn at university or whatever. So, yeah, and so that's how I learned Italian, and I speak to my husband always in Italian, and he sometimes understands me and he sometimes doesn't. I was like, well, you're just gonna have to figure it out. So yeah, and I of course plan to carry the language on one day to our children.
That's so nice. That's so nice. I love hearing stories like that, just because in like my corner of the world, at least, I really don't hear people talking like that anymore. So
Yeah.
it's like a really nice thing.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I appreciate it. And of course, I now not using it every single day in a conversation. Yes, I speak to my mother every single morning in Italian. We rarely go into English. I watch an Italian soap opera in Italian every single day, un po' sole. It's like really kind of cheesy, but I really love it. And it helps me really, just practice that Italian language, because it is true, if you're not using it like, your day in, day out, like literally every single thing you're speaking in Italian, if you don't use it like that, like I used to when I was in Milan, sure, you start to forget some words, some sayings, and it starts to break my heart, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't remember that word anymore. What is it? And like, I have to think about it, and then it comes to me. But yeah, it's awesome.
That is so true. Because when I was a kid, my parents worked all the time, so my nonna and nonna raised me, and I went to kindergarten only speaking Italian, pretty much,
that's awesome.
or like speaking like a mix. But I totally lost it, because after that, like my like parents were like, oh, like he has to speak English in school, so they like kind of like put a stop to it a little bit.
Yeah.
But well, yeah, like I totally wish that I would have stuck with it.
Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah.
But it's never too late, Anthony,
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
too late. What helps a lot? It's watching Italian movies, Italian shows with the American or with the English subtitles. That helps a lot. Maybe reading like simple like Instagram posts in Italian, because you kind of like understand what's going on by looking at the picture or the video, but you read the actual caption in Italian. That stuff helps. That's what actually helps my husband a lot, because he's trying to learn, because we want to get him his Italian citizenship through marriage. That's how he's learning. He's learning by we watch a lot of Italian movies, Italian shows in Italian with the English subtitles, and Instagram. God bless that social media. Sometimes it's helpful, sometimes.
Yeah, true. So the NIAF, they offer programs that help Americans or Italian Americans get their Italian citizenship, right?
Yes. So we partner with a company called Your Italian Passport. They're based out of Palm Beach, Florida. So we have been. So what happened was, during the pandemic, obviously all of our events and fundraising events were all cut off. So we obviously had to get creative like everyone else in the world. And so we started doing these virtual events, these webinars, these informational webinars that we would present on topics like how to gain your Italian citizenship or how to, research your Italian ancestors. So Your Italian Passport is a company that we've always partnered with. So we partnered with them on these webinars, and we hosted many different ones that you could still find on our website. They're available to purchase at NIAF.org, NIAF.org, and they're everything. It literally breaks it all down to you, all down for you, because as you know, or as you may know, obtaining your Italian citizenship can be a very, very tedious task. And there's so many little rules and minute details and different laws that you can fall under. And so we literally, every episode of our webinar is a different aspect of how to obtain your Italian citizenship, whether it's through the 1948 law or through marriage or through residence, or all these crazy complicated ways to obtain your Italian citizenship. So I'm very thankful that my mother never renounced her Italian citizenship. Back in the day when she came to America, there was no dual citizenship possibility. It was you become American or you're a resident alien. So she decided to be a resident alien because she's like, I'm not giving up who I am. I'm an Italian. So thank God she did, because that automatically made me and my sister and my brothers automatic Italian citizens at birth. She just had to register our birth certificate with our little paese in Reggio Calabria, and we were good. And so thank God she did that, because the situation with Italian citizenship is so complicated and so long. I feel so bad. So but do not give up hope. If you're out there and you do qualify for Italian citizenship, I highly recommend to either check out our webinars or check out the website, youritalianpassport.com. And Lauren really breaks it down for you, how you can understand if you even qualify. And then you can even call her up for a phone consultation. And then, if you do decide to hire her, she will literally do the process for you. And even better, if you are a NIAF member, you get a discount off of her services. So another reason to sign up for NIAF membership.
Wow.
Sorry, I had to do that plug.
Of course. No, that was my next question, and you kind of answered it. Is my cousin told me that because that my grandfather was born in Italy, that I can get citizenship fairly easily. Is that true? Or both my grandparents?
So did he ever become an American citizen? Was he ever naturalized?
Yes.
Do you know that? He was.
Yes.
Okay. So it depends when he was naturalized. I think if he was naturalized before 1948, or wait, you know what? I don't even want to put out some false information, but it does depend when he was naturalized. Okay. And so definitely on Lauren's website, youritalianpassport.com, you can find that specific information.
I will absolutely check that out, because I totally want my citizenship, and I've been seeing those ads in my Facebook feed come up for the $5 villas all the time.
Oh yeah. That's a bunch of what, but
yeah, no, I know. I'm just teasing, but yeah.
Okay.
yeah. No, I'm just totally teasing. I figured that it was too good to be true. But
yeah, exactly. If something sounds too good to be true, especially when it comes to something Italian, it usually is.
So NIAF and COVID, how was it working through that whole entire time period? I know from being on kind of the opposite end of it, I know that there were some struggles on pretty much every business's end. So can you walk me through how I guess you guided yourselves towards the light at the end of the tunnel?
Yeah. So at the time we had our great chairman at the helm, Pat Harrison. She really took us through this dark tunnel that I guess everyone really was in. So what happened was that, we obviously had to cancel all of our in-person events, and in-person events for a nonprofit equals fundraising, which equals, salaries and programs being funded. So what we did was we got creative. We did the in-person events, and we also did a lot of, we created products to sell through Custom Ink. They do a lot of, they have a great program for nonprofits where you can design a product and then sell it through their website, and they'll take care of the printing and shipping. And so we did a lot of like fun things like an apron that says Buon Appetito, or you know, a wine tumbler that says Chin Chin, or a NIAF polo, or what else did we did? We did a NIAF mask, and then some Buon Natale kitchen towels and everything. So that was another avenue for our revenue during the pandemic, but it was really through our virtual events that really brought us through. And we made more money than we actually thought we were going to make. And so we had programs on, like I had mentioned, dual citizenship, Italian dual citizenship, Italian genealogy. We did wine tastings, Italian culture. So, you know, regional cuisine, regional culture. We also did thought leadership on, you know, Columbus Day, Christopher Columbus. What else? You know, government affairs, anything you can think of, we covered. In fact, we're now like really trying to like, you know, take us through the next year with these virtual events because they become so popular, but we're running out of topics. So if you have a topic, let me know. And then of course, you know, our big fundraiser of the year is our anniversary gala. It happens every single year in Washington, D.C. If you're fortunate to attend, you know how fun and how big of an event it is. Every sitting president has attended our gala since the very first gala in 1975, excuse me. And so when we had to, you know, close the doors on it for 2020, we said, okay, we'll just do it virtually. And we're like, well, who's really going to sit in front of their computer and watch a gala virtually? But you know, we were very savvy with our fundraising. We honored in 2020 Dr. Fauci, and we had a ton of people come out supporting him through sponsorships and everything. So we were really, we came out pretty much on, you know, on top during the dark year of 2020. And so now we're just looking to 2021. We're going to do a in-person gala this year in Washington, D.C. on October 23rd. However, unfortunately, it's still going to be a limited capacity gala, but we're looking forward to 2022 where we can really come back strong and come back to be our normal, fun selves and honor, you know, Italians and Italian Americans who have accomplished so much in their industry and in their lives. So, yeah.
So how did you, two more questions actually. The first one is, can anyone attend the gala this coming year? Because you did say that there is going to be like a cap on the amount of people.
Yeah, absolutely. We still have some tickets left. So tickets are available on our website, niaf.org. And so, yeah, you could still attend. For sure. We are honoring Tony Bennett, Stanley Tucci, Enrico Casarosa, who's the director of Luca, the Pixar movie. Who else? Giuseppe Bono, who's the CEO of Fincantieri. And who else are we honoring? I'm drawing a blank right now, but yeah, that is, that's it. Oh, and John Silvestri, who is a gentleman who's done a lot in the real estate industry.
Nice. I'm definitely going to have to check my calendar because I kind of want to attend now. I haven't been, I went to the virtual gala.
Oh, okay.
But,
so you were one of them. You were one of them.
Yes.
That's great.
I was one. Yes.
Awesome.
I was one.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm happy to hear that. Oh, and I forgot
Yeah.
to mention, we're honoring the region of Abruzzo. So every year, NIAF honors an Italian region. It's an official accord we make with the actual region and the president of the region. It's like a legit agreement. And so throughout the year, we promote that region through our social media, through our ambassador magazine. So if you do follow NIAF on social media, you may notice there's a lot of posts about Abruzzo. That is why, because Abruzzo is our region of honor. So this year we are honoring the region of Abruzzo. As of right now, though, unfortunately, because of the travel ban of, Italians still can't come to America, come into the United States. None of the regional Abruzzese regional heads will be at the gala. So we're super bummed, but we will be sending out a virtual putting out a virtual gala 2 weeks after our in-person gala, with highlights of what happened during the evening. So they'll kind of feel like they're there, but not really.
So I don't know if this sounds stupid or not, but like I have to say it because it caught my ear. When you said sitting president, did you mean of the United States?
Of the United States, yes.
Yeah, because I kind of blinked when you like said it. I was like, does she mean of NIAF or like what? Like, because that was such a shock to me. I had no clue that the president attended the gala every year.
Yeah. And do
Yeah.
you want to know what president attended the most galas?
Let's hear it.
Nice little trivia. Bill Clinton. He attended all
Really?
8 galas during his 8 years. Yeah, is his 8 years at the White House. So he just loved, I guess he must love Italian women. What can I say? Or he just
So,
loves the food.
like, just out of curiosity, like, can you like walk me through like how the president attends? Like, can anyone just kind of go up to him, or is he in like his own little corner? How does that work?
So it's a logistical nightmare.
Yeah, I
Because
could
you're
imagine.
obviously dealing with a ton of security, all of the tables need to be pushed back, and another thing, the president, he only confirms in the last, we only know sometimes hours up until the gala. I have never actually been at I've never been to a gala with the president there. But I have heard how crazy it gets. But no, he doesn't, as of recent, none of the recent, no. Did Bush? Maybe Bush did. No, Bush did not. Clinton sat at the actual gala on the dais and was there the whole gala. And I would say Clinton and all the other sitting presidents actually sat at the gala, enjoyed the evening. Bush left, I think, after he gave a speech. Obama gave a speech and left. Trump was actually, it was the only president who did not come. So we can't, I guess we did skip 1 year, but that was the only year that we skipped. But the invitation has been made to President Biden. So we still have not heard word whether he will be attending or not. But yes, no one can just walk up to them. They're usually, in the past, that we've always had a dais, which is those rows of tables, like essentially on stage where all of the VIPs and the honorees sit. And so they sit there. They obviously have the security, the Secret Service on the sides, and other than the president shaking hands with the people around him, the honorees, the board members, that's the most interaction they get. And then they're, obviously escorted out after through a secret tunnel in the hotel in Washington.
That is a trip. I had no clue that the president attended the galas. Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah, it really is. We've had some really great honorees in the past, great speeches. And so we're very proud of our history. We have a lot to be proud of, just as a foundation, but also as Italian Americans. Italian Americans have contributed so much to this country. Really, we're at the, Italian Heritage Month is coming up, and we have to really sit back and just think of all of the great accomplishments our ancestors made in this country, and they're not a little, it's a big amount. So yeah, it's a great organization to work for, and yeah.
Yeah, that was actually my next question, is how does one start to work for the NIAF? How does how did you get to where you are today? How do you go from fashion to NIAF?
Yeah, so that's a really great question, because I ask myself all the time too, how did I go from fashion to now working in a nonprofit? Those are two polar opposites. So like I had mentioned earlier, I was involved with NIAF during my college years. I was president, surprise, surprise, I was president of my Italian club. I was very active. My mom was the Italian professor at John Carroll. So, I was I am Italian, very Italian.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah. So NIAF at the time, and still does, has this program called NIAF on Campus. And it's a program which the foundation provides resources for Italian clubs to carry out on-campus events. It also we bring the executive board of the club to Washington during the gala, and make them part of our gala weekend and everything. So I was lucky enough to come to Washington during my college years, during the NIAF gala weekend. At the time, there was the youth gala. Some of the old timers may remember the NIAF youth gala, which was right down the hall from the main gala. It was super fun, all young people. And so that's how I really became involved. I even applied for scholarships. My siblings applied for scholarships. We never got the scholarships, but I don't hold a grudge. I'm okay with it. I'm fine. But I do always make that point to the board. I never got a scholarship. So yeah, so I always was involved during my college years, and then I moved to Milan, and of course, this was way back before yes, there was the internet, but there was no social media at the time or anything like that. So, totally lost touch with NIAF and what they were doing. So then I moved back from Milan to Cleveland, and I spent a year in Cleveland working as editor of an Italian-American publication in Cleveland called La Gazzetta Italiana. So if there's any Clevelanders or Northeast Ohioans listening, they know the newspaper. And so I was working as editor, and I was receiving all of the NIAF press releases at the time. And I had heard about, all of the new initiatives that the new president, John Viola, was doing. So I would write about their new, NIAF's new initiatives. And then, once that summer, I was vacationing in Calabria with my mother, and I got a press release come through my inbox saying that the NIAF board of directors is in Calabria for their Mission of Italy trip. I'm like, Calabria? I'm like, what are they doing in Calabria? No one comes to Calabria, especially the board of directors, they're so prestigious, and, it's NIAF, it's such a prominent organization. What are they doing in Calabria? Calabria barely has an airport, So I write to them and I'm like, hey, you guys are in Calabria. I'm actually currently in Calabria vacationing with my mother. Would love to just meet up with you guys and just say hello, because I'm Italian, you're Italian. Let's all be Italian together. So they just happened to be they were staying at the hotel. Well, it's a castle turned hotel in the city of Villa San Giovanni, which is about 30 minutes north of Reggio Calabria, which is where my mother and I were staying. And that hotel / castle just happened to also be the location where my parents had their wedding reception. So I'm like, Mom, let's go. Let's spend the weekend there. You haven't been there since your wedding. Let's make a weekend out of it. We'll meet the people from NIAF, and if anything, we just had a great weekend, together. So anyway, so we get to the hotel, we get to their reception, and I'm talking with John Viola, and he's saying, so what are you doing? I'm like, oh, I work at La Gazzetta. I would, I'm thinking about either returning to the fashion industry, or I would actually love to work at an organization like NIAF. And he was like, we're actually hiring. We're hiring a social media manager and assistant editor. So why don't you come down to Washington and interview? So 2 weeks later, I came down to Washington, I interviewed. And then 2 weeks after that, I was driving to U-Haul with my parents from Cleveland down to Washington. And so I started off as assistant editor and social media manager. That was September 2013. By November 2013, I was promoted to director of programs. I've been in that same position ever since, with a small stint in government affairs along the way. But I've been overseeing our programs ever since. And so, yeah, that's it. Here I am 8 years later. I actually don't work out of the Washington, D.C. office anymore. When my husband and I got engaged, my husband was living in Southern California. And so we were doing a long distance relationship, DC to Southern California, every single weekend, flying back and forth for, a little over 6 months. And so I decided I was going to move to Southern California. And so NIAF said, okay, you can work from home. So I started working from home before everyone else started working from home, just back there, before it was cool. Which was great, because when, by the way, working from home, I'm sure a lot of people realize this with the pandemic, it's such a challenge, especially if you're used to working in a very, communal setting with all your coworkers and collaborating. And so it took me a while to get used to being isolated, in my little office in my Huntington Beach home here in Orange County. And so I missed my Washington, D.C. colleagues so much. I was calling them up every single day. I'm like, what's going on, And so then when they started working from home during the pandemic, I'm like, okay, let me give you a few pointers. I'm like, you got to get out of your pajamas. You got to put on your makeup. You got to take a shower, So 8 years later, here I am, still with NIAF strong.
And just to finish up, is there anything you'd like to tell the audience at Growing Up Italian?
Don't forget your Italian roots. We have so much to be proud of, and so much more to be proud of than the stereotypes that are put out by the media. Let's put that behind us and really show America and the world what being Italian is all about. And it's not the stereotypes that you see on media and social media, for that matter, too, because I see a lot of it, and we're better than what the media and the Hollywood plagues us to be. So never forget who we are, and continue and pass that along to your offspring. That's the important thing, to pass it along. And go to Italy, visit Italy, learn the language, and learn how to cook.
Amen. Amen to all of that. I agree with you, and I'm working towards it every day on my own. So amen.
Yes. Awesome.